Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with Evelio Matos, Adam Peak, and Corey Connors.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? We got, what do we got? We got Corey Connors at Corrugated.
Good morning.
I'm on the Sustainability Packaging Podcast. We got Adam Peak, Packaging Pastor on the TikToks.
I'm gonna bring the energy right now. Here we go.
Wah, wah.
Dang it!
Yeah, he's been basketball. What are you doing?
Button.
What have you been doing? Playing basketball with kids?
Five nights in Vegas for Cosmoprof, and then with a bunch of 15 and 16-year-old basketball kids.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
a special way to spend a week. So there we go. That was
It's all right. Bring the heat.
I hit the wrong button. I hit add trombone. It's the worst.
We got a couple people in the comments already. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, we got
Welcome.
Rosalind coming in. Good morning. We got
Rosalind.
Rosalind. We got Brandon and
Brandon. It's Brandon.
that's right. And Powell. Thanks for joining us.
Paul Jean-Con.
Hey,
So, yeah, let us know where you're listening from, where you're tuning into this show from. We get people all over the place. So, like I said, we got Corey, we got Adam, we got me, Evelio Matos, coming in from Packaging Unboxed podcast. Good,
Love it.
all good stuff. We got people coming in from all over the place. We got some heated topics today. You can find us here. Bam, nailed it. First time, sort of. There we go. Boom. So you can find us there. That's what you're looking for on your podcast app, whatever your favorite podcast app is. So let's just jump right into this thing. This week I posted a comment. I posted something on LinkedIn. Got a good amount of traction. I think there was a lot of people that were interested. I'm not. It was about Sway. I'm going to share my screen here in a second, but it was about Sway, which is a new material. It's developed from seaweed, and it's a plastic replacement. The conversation was kind of around, well, let's get rid of these guys.
Oh, bye.
Yeah, so the conversation was kind of around, what do you call this stuff? Because it says on here that it's
0% plastic.
0% plastic and 100% seaweed. So
It's not seaweed.
so what do you call it?
Biodegradable, compostable. It's fascinating. I don't know yet.
All right,
I
but
interviewed her. She was
you've had
brilliant.
them on your show.
She's incredibly smart. Great intentions, I can tell. I'm excited to do some analysis of this. I don't know yet.
You know what they say about good intentions on the
Right.
road to hell.
She seemed. I've met her and her partner, and they're
Mhm.
great people. They had a sample at Circularity 23. Adam, I don't know if you saw them there.
Yep.
They were cruising around with some green tinted film. But yeah, what's it made of? Ocean farmed seaweed. Interesting. I don't know what that means yet.
Yeah, and she was kind enough to join in the comments of the post, and I'm just asking the question, right? So I'm not bashing. I'm not saying she's not a good person or she has bad intentions. My point here is, what do we call this stuff?
Right.
And Sway's not the only brand out there. There's a lot of brands out there that are putting out new materials. They're based, that are not petroleum based. I think half of the comments were that consumers know that plastic is made from petroleum, and when you say zero plastic, that the term plastic is referring to petroleum-based plastic.
Right.
So when you say 0% plastic, that it means that this doesn't contain any petroleum.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got a number,
the
a
intention,
character, and then the word plastic. It doesn't say anything about the rest of the stuff, and I don't think consumers even know. I don't think consumers even care. We're in the industry, so obviously we can put these pieces together. But but I don't know that that's the right approach.
It does say it's home compostable, which is really impressive. I know that's very difficult to get that certification for materials. So
But it's still plastic, right?
that's
So like
good.
in terms of language, like what do you think it should be? How do we refer to this?
I would call it film. Yeah, I wouldn't call it plastic material. Compostable film, seaweed based. That's as far as I can go with it right now.
And the only word that makes sense, unfortunately, is the word plastic, because
That's
all
what people
plastic,
understand. Yeah.
all plastic is derived from something that nature has already given us, whether it's a fossil fuel or corn or seaweed. And then it's taking that and converting it into some type of form factor. And in this case, the form factor is plastic. And so, and that's, I understand why, because from a marketing perspective, like everyone said in the comments, people don't even understand the nuances of basic recycling, let alone what's the difference between, seaweed derived plastic and petroleum derived plastic. But
Right.
they both come from nature. That's my point in this whole thing, is like, it's not as though fossil fuels don't come from nature. There's just not a lot of, what they're saying is the end of life is potentially easier, because if it ends up in the ocean, the idea is, well, it came from seaweed.
Right.
And so it doesn't do any harm. But I don't know that, because when you polymerize seaweed, does it mean that it'll degrade into, it'll degrade into something, right? Like I legitimately don't know that. And I thought it was a really good question and a great discussion on LinkedIn.
And this logo here, does that mean recycle? And that's what I know. The intention there isn't to recycle it, but that's my concern: is does this end up in your recycle bin, and then the landfill, rather than the compost facility like it's designed for?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, right? The Ailes Gray logo of the chasing arrows.
Are the shoes made out of
The
seaweed?
shoes are supposed to be recyclable.
Recyclable? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the confusion here. Okay.
Yeah, but the packaging isn't. And here's the part where I feel like a complete jerk, is that I'm not making any cool materials. I'm not solving
Yeah.
the plastics issue myself. I'm not doing anything other than commenting on here. So, for me, it's like hats off to these guys for doing what they're doing,
100%.
I agree.
and and
I agree
challenging
with
what's happening.
hats off
but-
to them. Not that you're a jerk. I just want to make that clear.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Let's fight on that, because I
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of cool materials out there, but there's no infrastructure for it. But you can't wait for the infrastructure to be built in order to launch new materials. And kind of the same thing with the language. If we're limited by language, then we're never going to kind of move forward. So I think the 0% plastic from a consumer standpoint, isn't the right way to do it, but it is a good way to get started in having this conversation and refining it. And maybe we need new symbols. Maybe we need new terminology.
Scott's got a great question in the chat. Is there a symbol that means compost this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen one yet.
it's the poop emoji.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's really not. But I always
do we
go back
need
to
more
like
symbols, right? Because
No.
consumers don't understand what the symbols that we have mean. So
Oh man.
So, all right. So in the comments, do you have the ability to compost at home?
Mhm.
Right. Like I could, I think both of you guys could.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if I was living back in Queens in, a tiny little apartment,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be composting anything. Yeah. And this is like one of 1,000 things regarding packaging that I'd have. Like,
unless you
at
had
some
a
point I'm gonna
Lomi
run
or
out of
something like that. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, but even a Lomi is not going to be able to accommodate
If
all of
everything
your-
went to compostable, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine trying to tell somebody to cut up their corrugated boxes and then put it into a Lomi?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rosalind's question, what stream is this recyclable? It's not,
No.
right? I mean, this is exactly the material that you want sorted out of plastics.
Yeah, I feel like the thing for me is, okay, so what is the problem that is being solved, and let's be clear about that. And
Mhm.
and so if this ends up in a place where it's not supposed to, which
Mhm.
isn't exactly like 100% of plastic ends up in the ocean or in, there's
Right.
it's not a very large amount actually. It's just unfortunate because there's a lot of it in the world, and so when I think it's like less than 1% of plastic doesn't make it to a recycle place or a landfill. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the exact number it was, but I remember studying it or looking it up at one point and like, oh, that was a lot smaller than I thought. But if it does end up in the ocean,
Hmm.
then what happens to it? Does it become
Will it break down?
is it like a mermaid that just returns back to its natural form and becomes seaweed again? Or is it just gonna float on top of the ocean? And if it gets like I'm not saying that to be like a gotcha. I really would be
Right.
curious to dig in a little bit more on that and understand, because if that's the problem it's solving, that's a great problem to solve.
I agree.
Yeah, I
Evelio,
think
will you
this
put up
does.
Marcia's comment?
I think this does
she
break
makes a great
down.
point.
I think this does break down in water.
Yeah. Marcia makes a great point. There are ways to do this, to compost. There are facilities near you, most likely, that
Mhm.
have a compost pile or bin that you can access. It's a matter of effort. It's a matter of how
Yeah.
much does the consumer want to try to be sustainable, and let's sure hope that they are willing to recycle and compost.
I like Brandon's answer.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
no, I like Rastafa's comment here. Right? Like once you incorporate psychology into marketing, truth is kind of out the door, and that's what we want to avoid.
Right.
Just be clear with what are we solving, and how does somebody I think about my mom all the time. My poor mom. It's like, how is she going to make a decision based on this information? How's she going to process this?
Right. Well, it has the symbol on there, right? That looks like recycling. So that's what's confusing. That's the challenge. How do we make it so simple that the consumer can't be confused?
Yeah.
I think it should be edible. I think, like what Brandon says, we should be able to wrap our sushi.
Yeah, that's how you
It's the next step. Yep.
recycle it.
I was at where was it? Tropical Smoothie Cafe in Las Vegas yesterday. It was 118 degrees in Las Vegas, in case anyone
Good
cares to
Lord.
know. So it was a great spot to be. And they were like edible straws for $1.
Mhm.
And I thought, why isn't that normal? Like, what is there not a way to? I mean, I remember an edible straw. It was called the Twizzler,
Mm-hmm.
and you could drink through the Twizzler, and it tasted like licorice, and it was great.
Yeah. Did you eat the straw?
I didn't buy the edible straw because I didn't want to spend $1 on it. It's already $8 for a smoothie. I got 4 other kids there. I ain't eating the straw.
Mhm.
So no, I did not make the sustainable decision to eat the straw, which then would have turned into compost. Eventually, I would process it.
Yeah.
Adam is a packaging processing facility. If you don't know,
Yeah, I'm a
He just
merc.
eats it.
And
he's a home composter.
I am a home composter
and a traveling composter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Tropical Smoothie Cafe. I think it's
With edible straws.
with edible straws. There's also other edible things in Vegas, but you, depending on your personal preferences, might want to avoid those.
Lots
But
of.
for Jay, I
And
think
speaking of Vegas,
Yeah.
we're going
Oh,
to
yeah.
Vegas, aren't we?
Yeah, Vegas, baby.
That's
September.
right.
Oh crap! I gotta go back.
Yeah.
September 11th and 12th.
September. All right. So September, it should probably only be about 105.
Yeah.
Like we don't cool off over here until
Bring your jackets.
like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, it's still super hot over here.
But can I just say the annoying part is like you walk into places and it's 62 degrees
Right.
because everyone's blasting the air conditioning. So it's like you're freezing cold inside. And so I wore sweatpants yesterday because the gym I was in was really cold.
Yeah.
And you walk outside and it's just like, what are you doing out here, human?
Yeah.
Go back to the inside
Go
corridor
back.
where you belong. Just
Yeah.
blast.
Well, all right. So I saw somebody's comment yesterday on our friend Paul Folks, Arellano. He did a Arellano. He did a he commented on Texas's record-breaking energy consumption, and somebody posted in there in his comments that in America, because they were based in Europe, in America we're addicted to air conditioning. And I had this conversation with a few people yesterday. It's like, are we really addicted to it, or are we just used to it?
Right.
But then you think about like Europe. Like I got in so many taxis where it was it was probably 100 degrees outside, and the guy's got the window down. He is just sweating profusely, and you get in, you're like, hey, can you turn the air conditioner on? And he looks at you, not happy, rolls up the window and turns the fan on, not the AC. And you're just like dying. So I don't know, like, are we addicted to it? Yes. Is there a better solution here? I don't know. I'm just thinking from like an energy consumption standpoint.
Yeah,
I'm in Arizona, so we go from AC to AC to AC to AC.
Right.
That's not being changed. I mean, honestly, it's that, to me at least, there are parts of the country where the entire economy would shut down.
Right.
Like imagine trying to live in Arizona with Americans right now.
Yeah.
Las Vegas. It's never going to happen. So
it was a record temperature here in Portland. I think last summer or 2 summers ago was 115 degrees.
Wow.
I think like 70 people died because we're not used to that. We're not in Arizona that's a normal Tuesday. Here it's elderly people that don't have the ability to get out of their house to get to a cooler place. They died, and it was incredibly tragic and scary. So you're exactly right. We need to prepare for that and be ready.
But they don't have AC. They don't use AC in Europe. I mean, how many people are dying there?
They just don't care about people in Europe, is what I've heard.
They're used to it, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. It was just interesting. I mean, we have people dying in Arizona all the time because it's hot. It was like 115 yesterday by 10 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
But
talk about more depressing things, or
let's talk about positive stuff.
All right. So that's the transition to FlexiHex.
Yes. FlexiHex.
This is not brought to you by FlexiHex, but Corey did have some cool stuff to talk about.
Big news from Aurora Packaging Solutions. Friday, we launched our partnership to distribute and supply FlexiHex in North America. If you haven't heard of it, it is a 100% recycled paper material that is 100% recyclable, curbside, and it is great for things like electronics, candles.
But what is it? What is it?
It is a honeycomb paper sleeve that goes over your product, a bottle of wine or spirits. I've done drop tests.
Hand in there.
Yeah, I've done drop tests that show it surviving drop a bottle of wine from 11 feet in the air onto concrete, which is absolutely amazing. And it's a patented design, and it's so amazing.
All right. So how do you use it? All right. You put something through it.
Yes.
And then you seal the ends.
Right.
So if you put your hand through it, show us like how it does it.
Yeah. So, and Hugh's got some samples coming. Bottle of syrup. Yeah.
Yeah. Send some bottles to Corey. He'll test it.
So you'll slide it over the bottle, and you'll put that into a corrugated box that generally we use like a pinch top design, so it's the least amount of corrugated possible. But what you're eliminating is polystyrene and many other foam materials or plastic bubble. And look at how small that is when it's not in use. So the space savings in your warehouse, imagine a polystyrene wine bottle shipper next to this would be 4 or 5 times this size. So I think that's one of the sustainability wins there is less trucking, less warehouse space taken, and frankly, oftentimes a better cost.
So then, all right. So then if I've got just a regular box, I don't have a pinch top box, and I wanted to use that, I'll put my bottle through there. And then when it drops on the ends, how does the bottle not shoot out of those 2 open ends?
We have to block and brace it the same way you have to block and brace with other materials. You need to make sure the bottle won't move.
So you get styrofoam
Yes,
put it.
no styrofoam, but other. Make sure the design of the box is tight, or make sure you've got other things packed in with it, or right size your box, which is what we would recommend. These will be sold with kits, corrugated boxes that will fit with them, so it'll be a great solution,
Fit
total
for purpose.
solution.
Nice.
Right.
And then is that the only size that it comes in?
No, that
I feel
comes
like I'm on
in
an infomercial.
lots
Is this the
of
only-
sizes. This is, as you can see, this is the FlexiHex Air, which is much smaller, and I think 10 centimeters is the smallest one. That's used for candles,
Mhm.
and I've got a couple of the sizes, and then we have one that's for surfboards, which is much longer.
Or bodies.
Or bodies, yeah. And that's the impetus of this solution. Sam and Will Bowie are surfers, and they got a surfboard wrapped in bubble wrap. And they said, I don't like that. That's not very cool. Let's design something that would be earth friendly and environmentally conscious. And so they came up with this design, and it's taken the surf industry by storm. People are really excited about it. And it's effective. That's number one thing in sustainability, right? Does it work? And the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the snowboard industry, I know there's been a couple of companies that started to look into it. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so,
Darren,
so what is
reach out.
that?
Happy to help.
Yeah. Darren just wants, a sleeve with the bottle in it.
Oh, I see what he's saying. Yeah, Adam will send you that.
Yeah. So go ahead and reach out to Corey. He'll
guy in Utah where you can hardly buy alcohol is going to be the one.
We just got back from Vegas, right? I thought you imported.
That's right.
No,
I think you guys can.
none.
Are you guys allowed to dance now?
Well, dancing might lead to drinking, and so no, that's dancing is no. We're allowed to dance, and the state runs the liquor stores. It's a special
Got it.
place. Everybody come to Utah. There'll be a FlexiHex distributor here soon, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So what is that? All right, Corey. So, all right. So this FlexiHex thing.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? So if I want to get FlexiHex, can I go to FlexiHex and get it in the US, or do I have to come to you to get it?
You get to come to us, and we get to supply it domestically and in one of our 55 North American locations. So you don't have to import it all the way from the UK. So I think
you're exclusive distributor.
Yes.
So I can't go to one of the FlexiHex guys and go, "Hey, dude, hook me up."
Well, if you want to import it from England, you can.
All right. So then what is it? All right. So what does that mean? That means that you guys are bringing it in and stocking it, so it's available here in the country.
Correct. Across the country in our 55 locations at Aurora Packaging Solutions. Reach out. We're here to help. It's exciting. And I'm really excited. This has taken 2 years to set up.
Yeah.
I've been working on this for I think the first thing I did was I made a TikTok about it, and then that kind of did well, and I made some more, and eventually FlexiHex reached out and said, "Hey, let's talk." So only 2 years later, no big deal. Right.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's really cool. I've always loved that material. I remember when it first came out and they showed their surfboard and they did the bottle drop. I thought it was like the neatest stuff. But it was not easy to get in the US. Like even reaching out to those guys, it was like impossible.
They're a small company and just starting out, and I think the solution here is to get with a large packaging company like Aurora and help distribute it with our 250 sales people, and it's takes a lot of the pressure off of them. They couldn't do it with their 20-person team.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to just switch here. We got a couple minutes left. One thing was, I think you posted about this, Corey, asking if food should have to change in order to reduce the requirements of packaging protection.
Yeah.
And then I just saw an article this morning on it, talking about how there's no reference here, but it's like, recycling rate is only 5% of plastic. we produce 80 million tons of plastic every year, and only 5% of it gets recycled. The majority of it ends up in landfills and waterways, and then there's no reference to like where they got this data.
Those are my favorite statements. Yeah,
it's just like throw numbers out there, but it's talking about how like it's asking if we should be developing stable food, so we can wrap it in paper versus plastic and have all the barrier properties. I don't know. What do you think, Adam? Like, are you eating something that's been processed to be able to survive in paper?
I don't think that people fully appreciate the complexity of supply chains, especially the food supply chain.
I agree.
And what is required to feed whatever we're at now, is it 8 billion people on the planet? I mean, it's a lot. And so there's a lot of, well-intentions, I think, that makes sense. The problem becomes that they oftentimes only solve the problem for the top 1% of society who can afford the solutions. And so it would be awesome to be able to do that and just to, buy food. And even like, for another example is on the other side of it, when I go to India, they oftentimes just go to the market every day to get fresh fruits and vegetables. The problem with that is that there's so much food that is lost. I mean, it's over, I want to say it's over $2 billion worth of food just in India could have been saved if they had better cold chain technology, because the food is harvested, it goes to the market. If there's a heat wave, which happens, or if there's a tsunami, all that food gets lost. And then it starts a cycle of poverty that keeps going, right? So it's like, if they had a way to preserve the food for a lot longer, then they would be able to sell it. And so it's like, there is that solution that exists to be able to just go buy food without plastic. The problem is that when you have that food that's without plastic, it goes bad really, really quickly. And there's no flexibility in the supply chain. It's just like, make it, sell it. If it doesn't get sold, then it gets thrown out. And that's the problem. And I don't know how to get around that other than through maybe some kind of molecular engineering. I mean, we make watermelons without seeds.
Right.
Like, somebody solved that problem. They're like, how people have to spit seeds out of their mouth? We're going to stop that. We're going to end that part, because that's really annoying. So if someone can figure that out, maybe they can figure it out, where the watermelon rind is, functions with the barrier properties of flexible packaging and can keep it. I don't know. That's for people way smarter. I just host a packaging podcast, and
but all that stuff kind of trickles back down to packaging, right? I think the Google here has India has 70 million tons of food waste.
That's amazing. Think about, though, if they had some kind of a system where the fruit and vegetables, once they got to a certain point, they would be converted into something else, like berries go into jam, or something that they can be processed into that would be edible for longer. That's a thought, and that I think they should consider.
I'm sure they have. I think because it's economically, it makes sense. But the problem is, let's say you convert it into something that nobody wants. Well, then you have to spend money to convert it into something like.
I like applesauce. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's not like a supply chain in place for.
Good point.
All the different endpoints for this product to then come together. That's time and money. That's the crazy part. But I know, just looking here, some scientists in Israel developed a new banana with a longer shelf life, right? Like, this banana lasts like 3 months.
Wow.
Without going bad, which is nuts, man.
No, it's bananas.
Hey, boom. And on that note, we're out of here. Brandon, thanks so much. Appreciate you guys. We will see you. We're going to need more packaging for that jam.
That's right, Jam.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Leave comments here. We'll be checking back. Appreciate it. Let us know what you think about Sway. Let us know what you think about long-lasting bananas.
I already said bye.
And bye. I'm a long goodbye.
Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with Evelio Matos.